Howdy guys, Josh Reese here. Welcome you on into the Josh Reese Show. We are live here from the Toyota Center, here live in Houston, Texas, coming to you right after our Rockets lost to the San Antonio Spurs 103-92. I was pacing back and forth and I was trying to wonder what exactly happened here Friday night, and still kind of trying to figure it out myself, so we'll all kind of work it out together, guys. It'll be nice therapy. But first of all, if this is your first time viewing the Josh Reese Show, let me thank you. Thank you guys for checking out this video channel. Hope you enjoy my content. If you do like the content, feel free to like, feel free to share, and feel free to subscribe. Also, I would like to encourage you to follow Countryside Massage here in Conroe, Texas. They give great massages. Seriously, they are supporters of the Josh Reese Show and all the work that I do, and I encourage you all to check them out. I have the link below on the description of this YouTube video because I can't link it in here. I've tried before. I really can't. But I digress. So let's get on into what happened here Friday night at the Toyota Center. It was a clown show, guys. It's all we can talk about. Rockets did not shoot very well, and while they had plenty of chances to win this game, the San Antonio Spurs did what they did and grinded themselves out to a win. There's not really much else you could say. The Rockets missed shots, a ton of shots, and the San Antonio Spurs, when it counted, made shots. So yeah, so let's just kind of talk about what happened today. The Rockets started off the first quarter, and it looked like things were kind of going their way. The Spurs started DeJounte Murray in lieu of Tony Parker, who's injured and out of the playoffs. And DeJounte Murray did not look like he was ready to play. Patrick Beverley had his lunch early, but the Spurs kept on scoring. The Rockets missed shots early. I believe it was 11 to 5 at one point, and that was with them struggling so bad. It was pretty much playing 4-on-5, and yet the Rockets could not get it going at all. But this is a theme that would carry on through the rest of the night. They would end up in the quarter 21-19, Rockets leading, and it was pretty much about the only lead the Rockets had in the game. Kind of an interesting point here in Game 3. About 8 minutes. No, there was about 2 minutes left in the game in the first quarter, and it might have been more than that. It might have been 3 or 4 minutes. I can't remember exactly when. But there was a point in the game, James Harden was matched up with David Lee on the low block. Lee spun around him, shot it up, and James was like, timeout. All right, I'm out of here. James sat down on the bench and wouldn't come back in until about his normal time in the 8-minute mark in the second quarter. D'Antoni after the game said Harden didn't call the timeout, but they took him out for energy. I guess because he was low on energy, whatever. I couldn't remember the exact excuse, but it was nothing out of the ordinary, apparently. This isn't a new strategy the Rockets are going to go with, a new rotation, so to speak. But it was definitely strange. We'll get to that another strange part in the game later on. So you kind of feel good about what the Rockets did there in the first quarter. I mean, nothing was going for them at all. They got the 3-ball, which was fine, but nothing at all was working for them. But they ended up leading 21-19. So they had that working for them. And LaMarcus Aldridge, while he had 6 points and he was 3 of 6, it kind of looked like he still wasn't exactly there. He still wasn't the hungry LaMarcus Aldridge that we would end up seeing later on in the game. So in the second quarter, the Spurs would end up picking it up and they would outscore the Rockets 24-18 and take the lead on into halftime. But again, nothing was going for the Houston Rockets, and the 3-ball wasn't really working for them in that quarter, and you saw them start to drive, but instead of finishing drives, they would float it on up. And a lot of those would not go. Clint Capella wasn't able to rebound. The Spurs would get the rebound and just roll. While the Rockets did trail at halftime, 43-39, you kind of still felt like the Rockets were right there. They were right there! If they just make a few more threes, if they just push the ball a little bit harder, this game is right there for the taking. It's screaming, get the win for me! Let me win! I can do it! No. Nope. Nope, 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 nope. That theme will happen in the third quarter. We'll see. So, third quarter, Spurs score 29 points. Rockets get 27. What really stuck out for me in that quarter, while James Harden did get it going, he had 14 points in that quarter, it was just the Spurs, just again, they were grinding. They were slowing the possession down. I mean, oftentimes it looked like molasses. Just walking it up the court. They'd run their set. They'd get their shot. If they missed it, they would get the rebound, and they'd roll it all again, slow, grinding every single second off that shot clock, and then shooting it. Rockets would not push the pace, it didn't seem. James Harden, like I mentioned, I mean, they scored 27 points in the quarter. That's a decent quarter for them. They're normally in the 30s, 30 plus. But I mean, 27 isn't a bad quarter for them. They just, again, 41% during the quarter. Trevor Ariza 0 for 5. Ryan Anderson 0 for 3. Lou Williams 0 for 2. Lou Williams barely played in this game. He played 10 minutes overall. That's not going to cut it. You need more from your one of your leading scorers off the bench. And Rockets went into the fourth quarter again trailing. Add another 2 points on that lead right there. And another thing that happened here, it was a weird close to the quarter. James, I believe it was James Harden, came down, got a layup. I believe it was a layup. I'm pretty sure it was James Harden. It wasn't James Harden. It was Eric Gordon. I digress. It was whatever. They got a layup, but with seconds left, Jonathan Simmons runs down the court, shoots a three, 4 time goes off, swish. Rockets, and I believe at that point the Rockets were only trailing by about 3 points, and then with that 3, pushed the lead up. So you really hated the way they ended that quarter, especially since they had just gotten it so close. But the Simmons 3 kind of, again, deflated the air out of the Houston Rockets. Simmons played 3 minutes in that during that quarter, and was a plus minus. It was a 0, but I mean his 5 points there were pretty invaluable. It was just very, very weird game again. Just the Rockets going back and forth, trading blows, and the Spurs just were able to eke out a little bit more than the Rockets. So we head to the fourth quarter. James Harden again has a very James Harden-like quarter, but none of his Rockets friends were able to help him out, as Harden would get 16 points in the quarter, but the rest of the Rockets combined would get 10 points. You got 6 points from Clint Capella, 2 points from Ryan Anderson, 2 points from Trevor Ariza, and the Rockets would end up losing 103-99. Very, very strange game. At times you could see Mike D'Antoni pleading, begging for the Houston Rockets to speed the game up. They just would not. They stuck to the Spurs pace, and that's pretty much what caused them. Ryan Anderson, before the game, during shoot-around, mentioned the Rockets are at their best when they're rebounding and running. The Spurs defeated them on both accounts tonight. They out-rebounded them, and they slowed the bejesus out of the Rockets, and the Rockets were not able to play Rockets basketball, so they lose. After the game, I went into the Spurs locker room, and I was talking with a couple Spurs, and Pau Gasol, I was kind of trying to figure out why they had forced the Rockets into so many floaters. Go back and look at the shot chart. It's pretty remarkable how the Spurs were able to just limit the Rockets right around the rim and keep them to the floaters. He mentioned that after Game 1, they really honed down on the pick and roll defense, and that's also why you're not seeing Clint Capella involved in all these lobs with James Harden anymore. But the side part of that is there are also a bunch of guys in the paint to protect the paint and keep the Rockets from really penetrating deep. Very, very weird game. Danny Green mentioned that the Spurs had slowed their offense, which in turn really affected the Rockets by them milking the clock and taking the right shot. They're able to get back on defense and keep the Rockets from getting out in transition, which is bread and butter for the Houston Rockets. So while the Rockets had lost on their home court, now the series is in the Spurs' favor. Spurs had retook home court advantage. I don't want to say it looks dire for the Houston Rockets. I still want to pick with the Rockets in 6. I still want to stick with it. And it's going to be tough for them to do that. It might be 7 now. I still think this is going to be a very long series. I still think the Houston Rockets will end up figuring it out how to win this series. But after Game 3, it sure does look tough. LaMarcus Aldridge showed up tonight and he wasn't 40-point LaMarcus Aldridge like we've seen in the past, but his 20-plus points tonight was a big reason that the Spurs ended up beating the Houston Rockets. He was very, very active. The Spurs were able to find him pretty easily. He was able to convert a lot of shots. And one of the things I thought was most maddening was the Paul Gasol at the top of the key finding LaMarcus Aldridge. If Paul Gasol is playing your Draymond Green in the Spurs offense against the Houston Rockets, they might not win another game in the series. They've got to find a way to limit that. And if the Spurs continue to get the same LaMarcus Aldridge that they got tonight in Game 3 for the rest of the series, it's going to be tough for the Houston Rockets to win. They've got to find a way to limit LaMarcus Aldridge. Kawhi Leonard, there's nothing really you're going to be able to do about Leonard. He was great tonight. He finished with 26 points. Patty Mills had 15. So, I mean, the big 3 for the Spurs came through for the Houston Rockets, or for the San Antonio Spurs. The big 3 for the Rockets did not come through. On the game, Ryan Anderson had 2 total points. 2 total points. He took 4 shots. That's not going to get it done. Ryan Anderson needs to be taking a crap ton of shots to make him, to make the Rockets' offense more effective. If he's not taking and making his 30-foot threes, it shrinks the court dramatically. If you don't have to worry about Ryan Anderson scoring, I mean, there's not much else the Rockets can do. The reason the Rockets were so successful during this regular season was that you had James Harden, you had Clint Capella, and you had shooters all around him. You could do the pick and roll and do a lob to Capella, points. Or you could do James Harden, throwing it out to a three-point shooter, points. The Spurs have done a very good job at taking both away from the Houston Rockets, and the Rockets need to find a way to defeat the Spurs and their slowing offense. The Rockets have the guys that can outrun and gun the Spurs, but for whatever reason, they just haven't been able to. And there's not really much else you can say about the Rockets tonight. James Harden, for anybody who is doubting his health, he showed he had 43 points. He looked fine. Ryan Anderson, 0 for 4. You kind of wonder if maybe he's ailing. I think that's something to kind of worry about for the rest of the way. Again, why not Sam Dekker? I don't know. There's not really many answers after Game 3. You expected the Spurs to come out and fight and not go down without a fight without Tony Parker. but you didn't expect the Rockets to kind of, and I don't want to say they mailed it in, but they just weren't as aggressive as they were in Game 1. You haven't seen those same Rockets since. Game 2 Rockets, not very aggressive. They were lucky to be in the game with the San Antonio Spurs for 3 quarters. Luckily, the defense was fine. Game 3, the defense was pretty good for a half, but the shooting wasn't there, and then it just started to get worse from there. Game 4, Rockets need to get out and run if they're going to have a chance. They need to start playing Houston Rockets basketball again. They need to look inwards, and hopefully they'll be able to find a way. I don't doubt it. These Rockets are a pretty prideful bunch, but things do look tough. They definitely do not want to go down 3-1 to the Spurs, and that would be a travesty. So, Game 4, very important for the Houston Rockets, and we'll see what they come up with. Guys, I'm going to bounce on out of here. I appreciate you for giving this a watch. If this is your first time watching, or if you enjoyed this video, feel free to like, feel free to comment, feel free to subscribe, feel free to share with other people. Let me know your thoughts about Game 3. What did you like from the Houston Rockets? What did you not like? And what are your thoughts going on into Game number 4? Is it over? Can the Rockets come back? Let me know. I want your thoughts. Also, before I go, I also want to give I want to implore you to follow my friends on Facebook over at Countryside Massage. Do it! Do it now! Guys, I'm going to bounce out of here. I will be back for Game 4 here on Sunday, so stay tuned. Until next time, I will catch you guys later.